Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we're going to take an apples comparison between Tesla, Rivian, Lucid, and we can't do the same for Ford Motors yet. I will be happy to do it when we do it. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to look at how much cars Rivian produced last quarter, same with Lucid, and then we're going to look at Tesla at the time, back in time, when Tesla was at that level in their ramp, and we're going to see how Tesla was doing compared to Rivian and Lucid, how many employees did they have, what was their gross profit, and I want to see if Rivian and Lucid are doing better than Tesla at the same time when Tesla was back in time at the same level as they are, or they are beating Tesla or doing worse. So it's going to be a very interesting, very nerdy video, and it's going to be shocking, I promise you. So all I ask is, if you like this video, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and of course the like button. That really helps us out. Now I'm gonna put my face very small so you can see the screen. So let's start with Rivian. So Rivian actually, I think, produces a quite nice looking SUV. I would almost consider buying it if it was available in Sweden, and based on what I read and watch in YouTube videos, the customers are very happy and they seem to be a very viable competitor on the surface. Not so much when we look into their financials. So in this last quarter, this is Q4 of 2022. They reported delivering 25,000 cars for the full year, 10,000 deliveries in this quarter, and yeah, their 2023 production target is 50,000 cars, and they have 12 billion in the bank. This is their financials, and you can see that in the last 3 months they had an automotive gross profit of minus $1 billion. So that means that this is the material, for example, in the iPhone's case, like you buy all the screws and all the hardware that makes up the iPhone, and let's say that cost you $2, and then you go ahead and sell the iPhone for $1, then you have a gross profit of minus $1 because you sold the iPhone for less than what it cost you to manufacture it. But even after this, when you have a gross profit, so let's say that you would manufacture the iPhone or the car for $1, you would sell it for $2, then you have a gross profit of $1, and then that is the money that you have to use to pay your employees, pay your research and development, marketing, and everything else that is not connected with making the car, right? So this is quite nuts. That means that they produced 10,000 cars this quarter. So we take $1 billion divided by 10,000 cars produced. So that means that they were losing $100,000 per car, and that is just the material cost. So I know that their average selling price is about $60,000 to $70,000. Let's say $70,000. So it cost them $170,000 to just manufacture the car. Then you still have research and development. You still have marketing. You still have many other costs on top of this. So this is quite nuts. For the full year, you can see that they lost $3 billion in just producing the car. And then if you look at their loss for the quarter, it was $1.7 billion and $6.7 billion for the full year. So this is slightly logical until we have a look at Tesla. It's going to be very interesting. So I would guess that they have to build factories and they have to make their own version of superchargers, and they have a lot of upfront costs with this that is going to level out as they scale up. This is what I would think. Okay, so logically what we should see from Tesla is that they're also losing 100,000 per car that they're producing. They're also burning a lot of cash, and they have a similar amount of employees. That would logically make sense to me, right? So now we look at their 10Q filing for the year, and they had 14,122 employees. So now let's look at when was Tesla in a similar production volume, and that was in 2014 Q4, because they delivered 9,834 vehicles. It's very interesting actually to go back in Tesla's reports, and already now the first red flag for Rivian is they are showing how they have a positive gross margin on the vehicles. So this already starts not making sense, because Rivian is losing insane money just on the manufacturing of the cars. And here you can see that they're showing that on the Model S they have a plus 20% gross margin, and if you read the report, they're even stating here that that is unusually high for automakers to have that much gross margin. Now let's look at their financials. So in the quarter ended, they made $261 million gross profit on Model S. So I was expecting to have a loss, just like Rivian, right? The question was just how much. But not only did Tesla not have a gross profit loss, they had a positive gross profit. And if you divide that with the 10,000 cars, let me do the quick math here. So that is about $26,000 gross profit per every Model S that they have sold. And then, you know, you add on all the other costs, and then they ended up having a net loss of $107 million, as opposed to, what was it, 1.7 billion for Rivian. So that is a 17 times more loss for Rivian. And then if you look at the year, for the full year, Tesla lost $300 million, that's million with an M, and Lucid lost 6.7 billion, that's with a B. So that is 20 times as much losses at Tesla at the same time in their ramp. Now Tesla at the same time had 10,161 employees. So first I thought, okay, maybe it's the employees, that they have so many employees. If we say that this 4,000 difference in employees, Rivian has 4,000 more employees, and every employee costs the company $10,000 a month. I don't know if this is correct. I'm just throwing out the number. You can correct me in the comments. Then that's a $40 million difference per month times 3 months for the quarter. That would be $120 million difference between the two companies, which still doesn't explain the 1.5 billion difference. So I don't know where that money is it going to, Mark. I don't know what it's going. If you guys know, please let me know in the comments. So this is not looking good for Rivian. Now let's look at Lucid Motors. This company is even more behind. In this fourth quarter, they reported selling or making 1,932 cars, while they were producing 3,500 cars. They had 7,200 employees, and if we go into their financials, then you can see that they had a negative gross margin of $357 million, so 357,578,000 divided by what was the cars that they made, basically 3,500. So they were losing $102,000 on every Lucid that they were selling. And again, that's just the manufacturing cost. Insane. So again, these guys are earlier in their production ramp than Rivian, so maybe this is where you really have to spend on the factory, and you know, you're using these production lines that were probably made to make, you know, 40, 50, hundreds of thousands of cars, and you're only making 3,500, so it makes sense, right? It makes sense. But let's actually look at how Tesla is doing. So I even went earlier. I tried to find a place where they were very, very early in the Model S production. This is, as far as I remember, on Tesla, where they abandoned the Roadster production and they were only doing Model S's. So you can see that they delivered much less, 250 Model S deliveries in Q3. So again, what should we see? We should see losses comparable. But it's not even in line. Tesla only lost $8 million on these vehicles. So again, we divide back 8,761 divided by the 250. So Tesla was only losing $35,000 per vehicle. And you can see that Tesla's net loss at the same time was only 110 million versus Lucid's net loss of 472 million, and Tesla was producing 1/10 of the cars as Lucid is producing at this stage, and Lucid is selling the cars, as far as I understand, for like double what Tesla was selling the cars. So insane. And then now let's look at the employee count of Tesla at this time. So Tesla had, again, remember, Tesla was producing 250 cars, and their employees were 3,000 as compared with Lucid's 7,000. So I really don't know what all these people are doing. I don't know how Tesla was able to make all these production targets with so little losses when you compare it to all these other companies. I don't know what these other companies are doing. If you guys know, please let me know in the comments. And I really wanted to see what was the scene for Ford. And the good news is they're going to be very transparent with their EV business, but not yet. So next time when they report earnings, they're going to break out and they will go back in time for 2021 and 2022. How their EV business would have looked, and then we can look at it. I heard that they lost $3 billion on their EV section, which points me that they will be more in the Rivian and Lucid camp and not the efficient Tesla camp, but we have to wait and see. So my question now is, how was Tesla able to be so efficient as they were back in the time? And I'm actually really impressed. I have always been impressed with Tesla, but now when I'm looking at this, I'm even more impressed. So let me know, guys, what you think about this video in the comments. Let me know if this shocked you at all. And also, would you be buying Rivian and Lucid stocks or Ford stocks now when you see how much more efficient Tesla was? Very, very curious. Thank you for watching. Check out the Patreon link in the description box below, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.